go. And while I'm doing that, if people could just make sure you open up your Q&A box because we are going to be using that to make sure we cover things that you want to hear about. And if we can fold them into our conversation right away before the official Q&A time, we will. So don't be afraid to start asking questions if you have them already. And let's see, if you are here and you need some Chinese support, 如果需要中文服务的话, you can scan this code. We have a 10-cent meeting line, and I have a team who's going to be translating in Chinese. 所以如果需要中文服务的话，可以点这个链接或扫这个二维码。And for some reason, if Zoom puts us out for you, we are also live on YouTube. So you can go ahead and scan that code too if you need. That way, in case Zoom doesn't work out for you, you can go watch it on YouTube. Awesome. Well, as we continue to see people coming in, I am delighted to have some wonderful people on the call with me today, and they're very gracious to be waking up super early during reading season to come talk with us. And so they are going to do a quick intro. I'm going to have each of them tell us a fun fact about themselves. They're going to tell us their name and where they are and how long they've been there, and then one fun fact, and then we will talk about colleges. So let's see. I'm just going to go in the order of my screen. Matt, do you want to start us off?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Matt Lance. I'm Associate Director in the Office of Admissions at Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology. I've been at Rose for just short of 10 years. So I've been there quite a while. I've been doing international recruitment for almost 4 years now, I guess. And one fun fact, let's see, when I was growing up, for 4 years, I played on a travel basketball team with a guy that ended up being picked #1 overall in the NBA. So that's kind of cool, but at least for me. So yeah.
Yay. Thanks, Matt. All right, Alexandria.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alexandria Waters. I'm an Associate Director of Admissions at the University of Chicago. I'm in my 4th year here at the college, and I've also always been a part of our international team, and so it's really a delight to work with different international students across the world. My fun fact, let's see, I grew up learning several different languages, I think 5 total, and I'm working on a 6th. So, varying levels of proficiency, but I really enjoy learning languages, so.
Wonderful. What's the new one?
My current project is Korean, so
nice.
Wish me luck, please.
Okay, Tara.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tara Howell. I am Assistant Director of Admissions at Johns Hopkins University. I've been there for about 4 years and involved in international the whole time as well. My fun fact is for my 18th birthday, I made my whole senior class go skydiving, or I encouraged. So we all went skydiving since I was like one of the younger students to turn 18. So that was fun.
Awesome. Have not done that. And now I'm too old. All right, Adam.
Hi, everybody. My name is Adam Wu. I'm the Director of International Admissions at Stevens Institute of Technology. I've been in international admission for 11 years, but I've only been at Stevens for 2 months, so I'm the newest one on the team there. Fun fact about me, my birthday actually just passed, and since I was born on Thanksgiving, thank you. So my middle name is actually Thanksgiving.
Really? I did not know
Yeah.
about
I have 2 middle names. Yeah. So Thanksgiving is my second name. Yeah.
Amazing. See, this is why I do the fun facts, everyone, because I've known these people for many years and then I still learn something new and it's really exciting. So also fun fact for me, my daughter's birthday was also on Thanksgiving this year. So you share a birthday with my daughter. That's cool. My name is Gloria. I am one of the co-founders of Initial View, in case you didn't know, host of Tuesday Talks, and really delighted to be here. a lot of people have been asking us for years about summer programs. And so was excited to learn from a few colleges that they have been adding different kinds of summer programs to um, their pool of opportunity. And so I know it's like the holiday season and it's probably really cold where you are, but we're going to talk about summer. And so while before we do that, I'm going to have each of our colleagues share a little bit about their institution so you can learn a little bit more about their college. So, Tara, do you want to start?
Yeah, looks like I'm up. Okay, so again, hi, I'm Tara with Johns Hopkins University. Just a very, very brief overview of us. We are founded and located in Baltimore, Maryland. So that puts us on the East Coast, about 2-3 hours down from New York and about 1 hour up from Washington, D.C. We were founded as the first research university in the United States. So with that comes a lot of access for our students and also a lot of funding to make sure that's possible. So for us, research is more of a lifestyle than an option, right? It's just going to be available through coursework, through just every space on campus, ranging from the humanities to those social sciences to engineering. On campus, we're also going to pair that with our liberal arts curriculum. So we want our students to have these hands-on experiences, but we also want them to be really well-rounded when they go out into the real world. So we have an open, flexible curriculum, but within that, we're encouraging you to get a good breadth of activities and coursework under your belt for when you go, so that even if you are an engineering student, you know how to write the paper, you know how to talk to the people, and you have those academic, but also those soft skills that are going to make you be successful. And then last kind of thing I'll mention is we are a residential campus made up of about 5,600 students. So technically mid-size, but a really tight-knit community as students are really pushing and leading everything that's going on campus. I think I will leave it there. We said very brief, but yeah, thank you.
Okay, and we're going to come back to your summer program, but we're going to go and move on to Rose-Hulman.
All right. So Rose-Hulman is located in Terre Haute, Indiana, which is about 3 hours south of Chicago. We have about 2,300 undergrad students on campus. We technically have grad programs, but we have very, very limited amount of grad students, like maybe 3 of them. And then we don't have any PhD programs. So we're pretty much an entirely undergrad campus. We are entirely STEM-focused majors. So we have 18 majors on campus, and they're all engineering, math, or science. So very, very technical oriented. We have one of the top undergrad engineering programs in the U.S. And one of the main features of campus really is that we are extremely focused on teaching. So we have research going on and things like that in the academic departments, but our faculty's main priority really is spending time with the undergrads, being accessible to them, making sure that they're getting as much time in the lab as possible and that kind of stuff. So the other big thing, for our students is we want them to learn how to collaborate with each other, how to work together, how to support each other, and how to push each other, along and be the best engineer, mathematician, or scientist they can. So we really, like I said, really STEM focused, very, accessible labs on campus, things like that. So we really like the students getting as much hands-on experience as possible so they can be as productive once they get into employment or grad school after graduation.
Awesome. Oops. All right, Adam.
Hi, everybody. So again, Adam Wu from Stevens Institute of Technology. We are located in Hoboken, New Jersey, which is about a 10-15-minute subway ride into New York City. We're also a residential campus, about 4,000 students at the undergrad level. We have over 30 different majors, though, as you can guess from the name. We also primarily focus on the STEM programs. I think one of the highlights for our students is, given our location so close to New York City, we have a very robust co-op program. So students are able to get a lot of really great hands-on experience in the fields that they're interested in studying. And as part of our curriculum, we actually have what's called a design spine. So students, of course, will take primarily their courses within their major, but they're also, if they're an engineering student, they're also going to learn other elements of other engineering disciplines as part of their curriculum to make them a more well-rounded engineer.
Awesome. All right. And Alexandria.
Hello again. So the University of Chicago is situated in the city of Chicago, in the neighborhood called Hyde Park. We are a middle-sized liberal arts college, but we are also situated within the context of a larger research institution. So we have about 7,000 undergraduates and about 10,000 graduate students, and you'll get to engage with all different sorts of people on campus, coming from all different backgrounds, different experiences, and also different academic interests. So our students really enjoy the best of those two sorts of worlds on our campus. We are a residential campus, so that is a key kind of part of a student life's experience on campus. We have all of our students live on campus for the first 2 years, and then they're welcome to stay on campus for all 4 years. Our students love getting involved in research. I mentioned we are a research institution. We're known for our number of different amazing faculty members on campus, as well as now 100 different Nobel laureates that are associated with U Chicago. And also we have a key component of the education that we offer is our core curriculum. So that's really kind of the heart of our liberal arts education. But then students certainly get to choose a major that they focus on, specialize in, as well as electives. So we really are a place that's committed to also open discourse and free expression. We love to encourage students to really raise any and all questions, to share any and all ideas. And so our students very much appreciate that sort of environment that we foster on campus.
Amazing. Okay, so we're going to go backwards now, and then Alexandra is going to tell us about some summer opportunities, and then we'll go back, and then, yeah.
Sounds great. So at the University of Chicago, we have an office called our Summer Session Office. And so if you are remotely considering U Chicago summer programs, please do check their website out. We are now about to launch all the new program dates, all the new program websites this week, actually. So please stay tuned for more information. But we have a number of different types of programs that we offer to our students. If you kind of think about the different categories, there are programs that are for credit and then also programs that are not for credit. So it is a good idea to kind of consider what sort of programs you or your students are looking to engage in. For those for credit programs, those are going to be ones where you are taking a course typically for 3 weeks at a time. We offer both in-person on-campus programs as well as remote online programs. And then you also get to really dive into a specific topic with a U Chicago faculty member and other peers. And you'll receive a transcript. You'll receive credit for that class as well. Now for our non-credit programs, we offer ones that are typically, I like to highlight our enrichment programs. They are 1 week long. Typically, is, I believe, one that's maybe 2 to 3 days in length. But I do want to highlight also one in particular. It's called our Emerging World Leaders Program. I'm a bit biased, but this is the one that I am the program director for. So I just wanted to take a moment to kind of do a quick plug here. So the Emerging World Leaders Program is a 1 week enrichment program. So it's not for credit. However, this is a really exceptional way for students to experience kind of in a quick burst or in a nutshell what the U Chicago experience is like. So students who participate in this program, every single one of them is an international student, meaning that they attend high school outside of the US. And so they're coming from all different sorts of backgrounds and experiences, and really looking to understand what makes U Chicago kind of unique, what's the experience on campus. And so we do offer a week-long experience of model classes with U Chicago faculty, really coming from a full range of the different courses and majors that we offer, different departments on campus. So you'll get to try a philosophy class, a astrophysics class, all sorts of experiences through those different model courses. We also do offer admissions workshops through this program. So that is like myself and my colleagues, other program directors who lead this program, who are giving you sort of insight into what the process at a highly selective institution looks like. So we go through things like case studies to understand like what kinds of applications do we see? What do we look at when we look at applications? We might also guide you through things like essay writing workshops, also understanding what the kind of landscape of holistic or contextual application review looks like. So really key insight that you get to receive through this program. And you also get to experience life on campus. So every student on the program lives in a U Chicago dormitory amongst other peers on the program, but also our wider community overall. You'll get to meet undergrads at U Chicago, wonderful RAs, residential support. So it really gives you, I think, kind of exceptional insight into what the life, on campus is going to look like for a U Chicago student. And so there are a couple different eligibility requirements there. 10th graders and 11th graders enrolled in high schools outside the US. And we are set to run this program in the week of July 20th this year. So if you do have further questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I am the program director and main contact for this program. And you can find my email here on this slide and also on our website. So hopefully that's helpful. Happy to also answer questions further.
Awesome. All right. All right, Adam.
Okay, so again, Adam from Stevens Institute of Technology. We have what are known as our pre-college programs. So these are our residential programs that are typically anywhere between 1 and 3 weeks in length, and typically also for rising sophomores and juniors. The cool thing about our programs, of course, is obviously you're going to be taking classes with our Stevens faculty in the subjects of your choice. There's also going to be time for you to explore New York City. Similar to what Alexandria said, we also have admissions workshops as part of it. We're actually going to have a webinar on December 18th that will talk a little bit more about our program and how it works. Our applications are actually going to open later this month. We are currently testing to make sure all the nuts and bolts of it are open. And the nice thing about our programs too is they're first come, first serve. So unlike the application for admission to Stevens, we're not going to ask you to write 4 million essays to talk about, why as a 16-year-old do you already know what you want to study. So again, this is really much just to give you an idea of if you are interested in the STEM fields, particularly what it would be like to study the STEM fields at Stevens. And as part of that, we also, given our location, will also take you on site visits to different companies. So, for example, some of our students actually went to the Colgate factory and they made toothpaste as one of their site visits. So again, the foundational elements of the subject that they're interested in, but also some of how is that applied in the real world. We have 2 different sessions over the summer that take place in June and July. So again, I encourage you to scan our QR code. You can take a look at the different programs that we offered. Some of the programs that we offered last year included topics like medicinal chemistry. We had an engineering boot camp, and then as well as an intermediate computer science course. The cool thing about this program is that it is run, the Office of Pre-College Programs, it's housed within the admission office. So the pre-college staff and the admission staff, we work really closely together in terms of the logistics for the program and meeting with students once they're on campus. So I encourage you to scan the QR code and take a look.
All right. So Rose-Hulman has 3 different summer program options, basically depending on what level you're at in terms of grade and things like that. So the first one is Rose Power. It is for girls only. It's after 9th grade, and basically it's a 6-day camp where the women come on campus and they work in our innovation centers and basically get acquainted with every different piece of power tool equipment that we have. So they're going to do basically a different project each day. They may be milling a pin, or they may be making some other little trinket, but basically is to acquaint them with different pieces of power equipment and have them get to know other women that are interested in STEM. So there's 2 sessions of that per summer. Then we have Project Select. It is co-ed. It's for students after 10th or 11th grade. There are 2 sessions of that as well, and they are a week long a piece. It's project based as well, but those students are going to select a project and then work on it the entire time they're on campus. So they're going to be working with faculty members on different things throughout the time on campus. They're also going to be having some kind of educational sessions about different topics. So that way, even though they're working on a specific project, they'll get to know things about other areas as well. And so those students are going to live on campus. There's, like I said, 2 sessions. There's usually about 40 students per session for that. Project Select and Rose Power are 2 of our newer programs. They've been around for 5 years or less. But then we have Operation Catapult, which has been around for, I think, 56 years at this point. So it's been around for quite a long time. It's co-ed as well. It is an 11-day residential program. There's 3 sessions of that per summer, and there's usually about 100 students at each session. So this is definitely our primary big camp. It is for students after 10th or 11th grade. And same thing, it's going to be project-based. The students will come on campus. They'll get to meet the faculty in the first day that they're there and get an idea of what projects are available. There's typically about 30 or 40 different project options each summer that they can choose from. They get to choose one project, but there's been over 100 in the past. So it kind of depends on which faculty are there and things like that, but they're going to cover all different areas of engineering, math, or science. Some of the projects that students have done in the past, the last couple years, I guess, include anything from building a hovercraft to doing something with embedded microcontrollers, algae-based biodiesel, or a lot of computer science projects where they're building either a strategy game or an action game or something like that. But over 11 days, they get a really good opportunity to work in our labs, meet our faculty, get a lot of good opportunities to live on campus, meet other students that are interested in STEM and that kind of stuff. And so we have a lot of those students that end up attending Rose-Hulman as well. So we have a lot of catapult students that will end up finding roommates and things like that while they're on campus that summer.
All right. And Tara.
Yeah, so at Hopkins, we have a lot of flexibility for what summer can look like. The Office of Summer Programs is going to handle that, which has no direct connection to the undergraduate office, but again, lots to choose from. So our two biggest programs are going to be the Center for Talented Youth, but then also our pre-college summer programs. It's kind of deciding what you want out of that summer experience. Center for Talented Youth, C2Y, it's kind of like summer camp, but you're doing fun hands-on experiences or learning. And then the pre-college programs are like you taking a college intensive course as a high school student. Both are going to give you a lot of variety. The Center for Talented Youth is a residential program, but we have it on our Hopkins campus. We have partnerships with UC Santa Cruz, Skidmore. So it's really hopefully accessible from where you're coming from in the world. And then they are going to offer different programs like special relativity and physics, but they also have human rights and justice within the political sphere. So for that one, there is going to be a testing component, which is the biggest piece you should start preparing for. Typically, students are about 2 grade levels above their actual grade in high school. So if you are testing at a 9th grade level as a 7th grader, Center for Talented Youth might be a good option for you. For that one, you really just have to enroll, prove that you're testing or submit your testing, and then you should be good to enroll in anything. The pre-college programs are a little bit different because we do want to make sure that students are ready to take a whole college level course within 2 weeks. So that one you will be taking or you will be submitting an application. And through that application, those organization will choose if you are a good fit for the program. But this is also offered online, in person, everything from surgery courses to creative writing. So there's going to be a lot of choice in what you are interested in. I will say both of these are going to need English proficiency, and then applications are already open. So it is really relevant to start thinking about this now, even though we are in December. Some of these can fill up pretty quickly. So making sure you're getting those applications in and you're ready for the summer.
Awesome. Oh, this sounds great. And as a parent, I think my first question is what? How? I didn't know, am I late? Some applications are already open. My first question is, well, there is a question over here. So, somebody's asking specifically, do any of you have a summer program that's related to aerospace? But I think let's start with that. Topically, if you have a student who's really into something topically, what kind of advice do you have about how to approach a summer program? Does it make sense to go search for something topically? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, yes. Since ours, our specific projects, obviously we could match up or not match up with something that a student is looking for potentially. I think a lot of times that if the student has something topically they're interested in, then they probably need to try to search for it that way if that's a specific thing, because there's probably going to be a campus somewhere that's going to have that specific option for them. And so I think it's definitely beneficial if they know that that's what their main focus is, that they can search for it that way. I think that, depending on other factors, it's always a good option too to potentially do something. And this is what I tell students that I meet with, at least for, our programs, since we have so many different options, sometimes it's not a bad idea to try something else and like something that's not in their interest area. That way they could spend a week or 2 weeks or whatever the length of the summer camp is, and then decide, hey, this is something maybe I need to look into a little bit further, or say, I don't ever want to do that again. And so just move on from that point. So, I know that's kind of both sides of the answer, but it really depends. If a student knows they're zoned in on something and that's their thing, then they need to search for it that way. But if they're kind of like, I think I like this thing, but, maybe I'd be open to other topics, then it's probably not a bad idea to try something different for a short period of time.
Yeah, I would add to kind of echoing similar to what Matt said is, oftentimes, so for example, mechanical engineering is the program we get the most interest in. And I always ask students, why mechanical? And if they can answer that question, then I'm like, okay, we do have some programs, summer programs in mechanical engineering. You should look at the faculty who are teaching that. What is their expertise? Because again, if you really know you want mechanical engineering, then I think going that route. But if a student tells me they want mechanical engineering and they're not really sure why, or they can't answer that question, then I'm like, you know what? We have some more broad programs which focus on engineering, and it's going to give you exposure to a variety of engineering fields. So that might be a better way for you to go, kind of similar to what Matt said. You can say, oh my gosh, I really love engineering, or I will never ever do integral calculus ever again in my life. So I think I use that sort of as the litmus test with students when I'm talking to them and they tell me they're interested in a summer program. Because like Matt said, it can be both sides of the coin. You can go really deep into one subject, or a summer program can also give you a taste of different elements within a wider discipline.
And I think that's good to build off of. Like, check out how long these summer experiences are. Maybe you want to be crazy and do 3 sessions of the Johns Hopkins pre-college programs, right? They're only 2 weeks. There's 3 sessions. If you wanted to do all 3, you could, right? Or maybe you do want to spend a whole month at one of our like other partners. So it's really important to make sure, if you want to explore, building in that space and getting ready to be able to explore. But if you know what you want, it's always good to explore and make sure you are actually interested, like Adam was saying.
I think coming from,
sorry.
Go ahead. No, you're good.
Go. No, you go.
Well, just coming from representing like a liberal arts college, I think that for some students, they might, especially for the international students we have coming on the program that I lead, a lot of times they're looking to understand the kind of like, what does a US, liberal arts education look like, right? Or let's say that someone is interested in like mechanical engineering or wants to do the classics or something, whatever major they are curious about, they might also wonder like, how does that sort of fit into my broader education, right? Because that's not the only thing they're going to be focusing on as a student at U Chicago, for example. So it can be, there are a number of different great directions to go. It's just a matter of kind of what you want to prioritize.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go ahead and just address the elephant in the room. I think many people think that they should do summer programs because it gives their resume like a extra boost, or it helps with applications. And so initial thoughts from that, like, what would you say if somebody says, I think the typical way to phrase it is like, does doing a summer program add points?
Oh, Adam. I was just going to say,
ladies, go first. You go first.
I think that for a student doing a summer program, I mean, there are students who might go experience a summer program on one campus and find, hey, that really did not click with me for whatever reason, right? And then they might have gone to, experience a different one, or maybe they only did one and then made their final college choice with their, first year applications. I think that One of the things that I find that students really glean through the program that they do, whether it is the 4 credit option or, an enrichment program that we offer, they are getting to experience really not just that course or that program in particular, but also life on campus and kind of picturing themselves on campus, especially if they're doing an in-person program. And so, I think oftentimes what students gain from that is insight. It's not just about kind of figuring out, do I like this college, but also, is this the best college fit for me, right? And so that is really valuable experience to gain as a high school student to also then consider which direction they want to go for college applications. Um, just the fact that they attended a program doesn't necessarily mean something in them applying to the college. We have students who might have spent a whole month on campus, done a 4 credit program with a faculty member. They really enjoyed it, but there still is maybe a disconnect in what they kind of see themselves doing on our campus, or maybe the overall fit that we see in evaluating an application. So I think students gain a lot of insight, or hopefully we hope that they gain a lot of insight into what kind of college is this? What kind of fit is it for me? And then really speak to that in the application process. And they might even decide this is not the best fit for me, right? But that's a really valuable experience for students to get that exposure to working with a faculty member, to trying different types of classes, going through those admissions workshops if relevant. And so we're hoping that students gain a lot through their experience on campus. Some students decide then they want to come to UChicago. Other students decide, hey, I'm going to look somewhere else. So
I would just add, I think every university, our favorite answer in admissions, it really is the answer, it depends. So I think you can look at summer programs in a couple ways. From an international perspective, as admission officers, we all know that international students are maybe looking at a wide variety of countries. So sometimes if a student has done a summer program in the US, regardless of where, it gives an indication, okay, the student maybe has the means to come, there's an interest in the US, they have a little bit of a taste of what the US is like. So it might be just more of an indication of, okay, the student is actively considering the US. So that could weigh in that way. At Stevens specifically, we do look at demonstrated interest. So we consider participating in one of our pre-college programs as one form of demonstrated interest. So attending a summer program, is not going to save a student who's got like a 1.0 GPA or anything like that, but certainly a student who's competitive and who's participated in our pre-college program, we do consider that as a favorable option. But again, we also have other ways that students can demonstrate interest, whether it's an online interview. So I don't want it to be like, oh, you must do a summer program if you want to get into a university, because that's not the case at all. But it is something we're considering when, as institutions, right, we have thousands of applications, we have limited spots on campus. Of course, we want to admit the students who are academically qualified, but we're also sort of thinking of it, okay, well, we also want to admit students who are academically qualified and want to attend our institutions, right? So if a student has done our program and is applying to our institution, in the back of my mind, I'm going to assume, okay, they must have had a good experience on our campus to at least now be applying. So in that sense, that's how we at Stevens consider students who participated in one of our pre-college programs.
Yeah, I would pretty much echo what Adam said in terms of we don't necessarily specifically look at demonstrated interest, but I think if a student comes to one of our programs and then applies, then we are, there's a little bit of a bonus, I guess, on some level there, just the fact that they've been on campus and they obviously are still interested. I would say one thing for us specifically is that even if a student didn't attend one of our summer camps, but did attend one at another institution that was STEM focused, that is still kind of a bonus for us as well. Just because we are such a specific type of institution, we are looking for a very specific type of student. And so when a student shows some interest, passion, whatever you want to look at it in terms of an engineering program or a computer science, summer program or whatever it might be that's specific to that topic, that's something that does help a little bit in our process as well. Just showing that even if it wasn't with us, the student has enough, general interest in that area that we would be interested in having them on campus.
I'll just briefly say we do not track demonstrated interest, completely separate office. Go and do the summer program that is the best fit for you. And if that's at another university, that is totally fine for Johns Hopkins. We recognize that there is costs and things that go into choosing what's the best fit. We're just hoping you do something for your summer. That could be volunteering, it could be the research, it could be a summer program. But do not be doling out tons of money to attend a program just at Hopkins, because it's not going to ultimately tip you into the class.
Well, let's talk about that, Tara, because I do want to talk about kind of how to make the most of your summer. I think, whether that be through a program, but since we're talking about programs, let's talk about as a application reader, when does like somebody's summer program experience kind of pop out a little bit? You know what I mean? Like obviously there's a whole context behind how you read applications, but if there were to be a summer program element somehow, can you think of any specific examples where you were like, oh, like that tied something together for me, or that like made me feel like, oh, this is why this was important to them, something about it. Because I think a lot of students feel like, okay, I do the summer program, but then what? And they just want to put it as the first extracurricular because they're really proud of it. But I'm not sure that tells you much by just putting it on the extracurricular activity. So like, what are some of the things that maybe pop out to you about a summer program?
I think that's the biggest piece, right? Like, what is the context that you're telling me about this summer program? We have thousands of kids on campus, from second grade all the way up to 11th for our programs. So at any point, you could have done CTY as a 10-year-old. If you are submitting that on your application, it doesn't really tell me much about what you are currently interested in, what that program was to you. So if you're going through this list and you're choosing the advanced topics in physics course, and it really changed your perspective on what you want to do in college at Hopkins, tell us, right? What was the resource that really stood out to you? Who was the professor that you talked to? What did you gain from this experience? And it's really how we're hearing students talk about and write about that in their application. We don't want to see just a certificate. We could look that up on our end. It's really like, what is the takeaway from this experience? How are you setting yourself up to be in a college setting is what I would say.
Yeah. Anyone else have something to add to that?
I would say, to add to what Tara said, if there's ways that you can show, like, so for example, if you took a summer course somewhere and you really enjoyed the curriculum, were there elements of that course or that program that you took back to your high school campus, and did you continue that, like with founding a club? Did you continue, or did you like continue speaking with a faculty member who taught you in your summer program, and that's really convinced you that you want to study that major at that institution? I think, again, kind of to Tara's point, the more you can really demonstrate, like, not just tell us the lesson you learned, but show us through what you're doing now as like, I learned this lesson and it's through this action that I'm demonstrating that I've actually gained something out of this program. I think that's when it's the most evident to us that you really, other than the experience itself, that it really helped you decide on, okay, this is an institution I'm interested in, or this is an academic discipline that I'm interested in. So more demonstrating how you continue that. So you didn't just do it for that 2-3 weeks and then, okay, great.
Like connecting the dots a little bit. Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Well, so people are worried that, I know Tara was like, it doesn't matter what you do. We don't track demonstrated interests. But for some people who might track demonstrated interests or track some level of, I don't love demonstrated interest because I feel like people have defined it a certain way. So, but whatever vibes you're getting. If someone goes to another competitor of or like a peer institution to their summer program, and you're reading the application and you're like, oh, they went to this other pre-college program, like, how do you read that information?
Yeah, for us, we aren't gonna like have any negative feelings in any way, right? So kind of like what Sarah said, we want students to find things that they're interested in, and follow those summer programs. And kind of what I mentioned earlier, at least for us, we just like seeing that the student has found something they're passionate about and have chosen to follow that. And then if it leads them to apply to Rose-Hulman, then it just gives us a little bit more depth as to who the student is and what their interests are, and it's not going to impact one way or the other. Even if it's we get a lot of schools that we have cross applications with all the time, and we know that that's going to happen, and so we're more interested in the student finding what they are looking to do, being able to kind of use the summer programs as a tool to kind of narrow down their interest area, or at least focus in on what they're wanting to do. And then that will show us, how they've kind of followed that path and been able to do something in that area and say, hey, yeah, this is for sure for me. And then, we'll just read it from that context and not, as a competitive type thing, like, well, they should have chosen ours over whoever else. We don't look at it that way.
No matter which school you're going to, summer experiences can be really valuable to, check out different course options, different academic experiences, life on campus. I think that for us, still at the end of the day, when you apply to Chicago, whether you did one of our summer programs or another school summer program, we still want to understand very specifically and clearly why you have chosen to pursue us, right? And so that is something we are clearly looking for in your application. But, again, feel free to check out different courses and different programs that exist out there.
I was briefly just going to say, there are so many summer programs, like beyond just what we can offer. As admission staff, we know a lot, but we don't know everything. So if you are attending a different summer program, thinking about the way you're writing that in your application, giving us as much context. I know what you're doing at CTY on Johns Hopkins campus. I might not understand what you're doing at another college across the United States. So really giving us, and I kind of briefly said this, but like, what's the takeaway? What were the lessons? What are you learning? What did the day-to-day look like? So we really understand what's going on in your summer.
Yeah, to echo what everyone else is saying, by no means are we going to look at a summer program at a different institution negatively. Like, so we're never going to say, oh, you lose points because you did the summer program at a rival institution. So by no means that. I think kind of to echo what everyone said, if you're looking at maybe I think where summer programs can be helpful as far as from like looking at your application, another way you can think about it is if you're applying to a major that is maybe, so like at Stevens, we partially read by major. So if you're applying to a major that receives a lot of applications, if you've done a summer program and you can talk about that in your essay as, okay, I did this program in mechanical engineering, it's further cemented my understanding of the field and why I want to do it, that can definitely be looked at positively. Because we do have a lot of students who say, well, if I apply for a less competitive major, can I try to then transfer into this major? So in that sense, it gives us reassurance that you understand the program that you're applying to, which can be helpful in this process. And I think too, going back to what I mentioned earlier, is that we recognize that students overseas are not just looking at the US or not just looking at one country. So if you've done any program in the US, that does give us an indication, okay, you've experienced some facet of life as a potential university student in the US. That gives us reassurance. And now if you're applying to the US in general, you must have liked your experience, and there is maybe now you might be more inclined to attend university in the US. And again, we're all thinking about on May 1st, we're praying to whatever God we pray to that our students are going to pick us. So I think in that sense, we can look at it in that context as well.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the application process. I know there are so many different kinds of summer programs, pre-college programs, and some of them are like, Adam mentioned, like, first come, first served kind of situation, where maybe you're just signing up. And then there's others where you actually have to apply. So there's a specific question about US students that are living abroad. Do they count as international students? Because I know, Alexandra, you mentioned that in that emerging world leaders, that definition is if you live abroad, you get to apply. But does like the English proficiency kind of requirement apply in that situation? Do they count? Yeah, do they count as US students if they're like a US citizen living in Korea or US citizen living in Brazil or China?
For that program specifically, the eligibility distinction is that no matter what citizenship you hold, if you do attend a high school outside the US, then you are eligible to pursue that program option. There are different types of eligibility requirements for different programs that we offer. I believe that there are some English proficiency requirements for students who are not currently maybe enrolled at a high school that uses English in their curriculum, right? Or like there's not kind of, okay, like for IB schools, for example, a lot of students might come from IB or AP schools also. We're not expecting additional proof of English proficiency there. And so it does depend a little bit on the student's context and also just who they are as a person, what their experience is. But there is a space to sort of submit any relevant documentation if needed, given their context, to the summer session application.
And is there, okay, so then another question is, for those that have applications, what are the main criteria? And I think that this is like often how parents approach this, like, okay, how do my kids get in? So are you looking at the grades? Are you looking at test scores? Are you looking at interests? Like what are these acceptances based on? And I think this is all of your programs are so different that I'm not sure, but if you can kind of give a general.
Yeah, I mean, at Stevens, it really is first come, first served in the sense that certain programs are more popular than others. And when we have a space capacity, we're full, and part of it just has to do with the lab space, right? So we want the students who are attending to have a great experience. So we're not looking to cram 500 students into a lab. I think to the earlier question that Alexandra answered about the English, right? When we're looking at students from overseas in terms of international, domestic, it's more the curriculum, right? So we're not going to ask a student, please send us your TOEFL scores. But we do tell students, this program is taught fully in English. So if you as a student don't, if that's not something that you're comfortable with, you're not going to get much out of this program. And so we kind of give students the guidelines and let them and their families be the judge of, okay, do they have the English language skills to do this program? Do they feel like that they're going to be comfortable living in a residence hall for 2-3 weeks without, if this is going to be the first time away from home for an extended period of time, are you going to be okay with that, right? So we let students know that this is the type of program it is, but for us, it really is, no joke, first come, first serve. So we're not looking to admit or deny students. If anything, if it's the only time is when we have students who are too young who are applying, right? So we've sometimes had students who are in middle school. We're like, this really isn't the program for you, and so it's more that sort of deny, if you will. But again, first come, first serve. You get the application, you've met the requirements for the age, the English language proficiency as you deem fit, you're in for the summer programs.
We kind of review them similar to what we would review a student as an incoming freshman, just a little bit more lenient depending on where they're at. Like, since we have summer programs that, start with students after their freshman year, there's not a lot of academic background necessarily. And so we're basically just going through and seeing, are they on their path to meeting the academic requirements? Are they doing well enough academically? If we have a student that, is applying to one after their sophomore year and maybe had a tough class here or there, we would still be able to offer them an opportunity to come to the summer program with the assumption that, maybe this is going to give them kind of an opportunity to see that they are interested in these areas, and then they'll kind of turn some of the stuff around or whatever it might be. So it's not the same type of read as it is for the freshmen, but we are still going to have some academic standards, just with the idea that the students that we bring to the summer programs we would like to be able to offer admission to. down the line. And so we don't want to be admitting students that are obviously not going to be qualified once they get to the point of applying as a freshman. So I know that's kind of not a specific answer, but it's not as it's not the same type of read as it is for the fall, but it's also not completely open either. It's, we're still going to have some academic standards in there and some expectations, but it's going to be more lenient than for a freshman.
Yeah.
And for us thinking about like CTY, there is that testing component that I mentioned earlier, right? That is really for the most gifted and talented youth that we have. So for that, you would submit whatever that testing looks like. They have a whole list of what that test could be, and it's usually something you might already take at your school. You would just need to submit that. Once that's reviewed, you'd be able to kind of go in and choose whichever those courses or summer programs look the best for you, depending on where it's located and things like that. For the pre-college program, that is kind of what Matt was saying, more of like a little baby review, right? You're going to submit your transcripts. We're going to look at what you're doing. And those are for anyone as young as ninth graders, but we are looking for at least one semester of grades as you're applying so that we can look through and make sure that you are a good fit, right? These are college level programs. So we just want to make sure that you are having a fun, helpful, like informative summer and not totally struggling with the coursework over the course of the summer.
Very similar here at UChicago. We have essentially, it's not as kind of like lengthy or robust or thorough as our first year application review, but we certainly do have, we're looking at multiple facets of yourself as a student, what you've accomplished, what you're looking to do. We also do have, we're pretty famous for our essay prompts for the first year application process. And so we do we don't use the same questions, but we have different types of essays that we invite you to respond to help us understand specifically why you're choosing our programs. And so it really is meant to kind of give you almost like in a way a practice run of what it looks like to apply to a college. And so it helps you also sort through, what your goals are and what you're choosing to do with your summer.
And I think like part of the reason why I wanted to host this talk is that I wanted to frame it because almost every conversation I've had with a parent or a counselor in our network has really kind of approached the summer program as a plus point on the application. And I wanted to frame it a little differently on like how it is an enrichment opportunity for your student. And that goes from just taking a class, just learning how to interact with other international students or other cultures, the process of applying is an enrichment opportunity. It's not even the getting in or the doing the program. It's that reflection piece of like, well, what do I want from a program? Why do I want it? And like, how do I present myself in a compelling fashion, whether that be through my grades and through my activities, or how do I answer an essay prompt, or how do I answer any interview question? Like, it is an opportunity for you to like figure out where the holes are in your story a little bit, and how you realize like, oh, I wish I knew more about this, or I found this subject really, really interesting, and now I really want to take another class about it. And that's the kind of attitude I hope that most of you are taking in now as you think, I'm having questions on this other platform about like how young, what, my 10th grader is still struggling with language. Does it make sense for them to do it? And I would say, hey, there are programs in your own country that are maybe in your own language that might be great to do, because it's about a self-exploration process. And if you're not quite sure what you like or what you are into or what you need to grow in, do it in your native language first, and spend that summer doing that or growing in that area before embarking on traveling across the world to go do something. So those are just some additional thoughts based on other questions. We have a few minutes left, and I want to make sure that we covered people's questions, but also I'm going to share contact information because some of the questions here are, can I get so-and-so's email? So here's contact information for these admissions officers. And also if you have any questions, like, some of them are having their own summer program kind of webinars and things like that. So you should definitely tune into those and find out what other what other information is out there. We couldn't cover everything here. What are some words of advice that you have for our audience today? Just whether it's words of advice for how to make the most of their summer or anything in the process. Just
So I would say regardless of where you just whatever type of program you're looking for, I would say look at who's running the program, right? Is it run by staff from that university? Or is it because there are a number of programs that are run on college campuses, but that particular college or university has no affiliation with the program and it's simply a company who like rents space from that university over the summer. So I think who is running the program is definitely something that you should consider regardless of where you ultimately decide to apply for a summer program.
I think if your student finds himself on a campus for a summer program, I think it can be really easy to like default to just hanging out with people that they are like in the same cohort with or like just their classmates. But oftentimes, like at least for UChicago, we're offering programs that are in the residential space, that are dormitories on campus. Take the initiative to walk into the house lounge and say hi to other people that you haven't met before, maybe. Make those connections on campus. Reach out to a faculty member. If faculty members teaching your course offer office hours, like try to stop by and say hello, right? It's kind of like a really great sneak peek into what the college life experience is like. And so both socially and academically, I would say, kind of explore what's on campus. Oftentimes, like for UChicago, we also have undergraduates, like UChicago undergraduate students that are taking courses on campus. They might be doing research on campus when you are there for your program. So, reach out, right? Say hello. There are lots of great resources that are available beyond just like the program itself. So it's a really great way to picture yourself on campus.
I think the biggest thing, kind of what Tara said earlier, just find something that you want to do that you're interested in, right? Whether it's the summer program, whether it's volunteering, whether it's an internship, whatever it is, find something that you're interested in and find a way to follow that interest. So I think, that's obviously very broad and isn't specific to summer programs, which is what we're here for. But I think as an applicant in general, doing activities, doing things, during the summer that's going to show whatever institution you're applying to, how you've pursued, what your interests are, is going to be beneficial. So that's, I mean, like I said, not specific to summer programs overall, but just as an applicant.
I also think there's just like a lot of options. I said this before, but there are over 4,000 colleges and universities in the United States. Not all of them have summer programs, but a lot of them do. So making sure you're just doing your research in the way that you would research a college. Again, it's good practice, as Gloria was kind of saying. And then turn it into a whole event. If you are already making your way all the way out here to the United States for summer, go explore the other colleges in the areas. Go to an information session. We love the virtual, right? It's not the same. Go walk on the campus, talk to the students, go see other colleges, to really just get a good feel of everything that's going on over here in the United States and just make it worth your summer.
awesome. Well, thank you everyone again for spending time with us. I want to say a special thank you again to my admissions colleagues for again waking up early. Adam is actually on the West Coast right now, so he really woke up in the middle of the night for this. So I'm very, very grateful. I know we shared some contact information. If anybody wants to add any additional links on the chat, you're welcome to do that. I'll give you like 30 seconds. But in the meantime, I know this process can be really stressful. There's a lot of options and opportunities, and it's hard to kind of do the research. So I really appreciate you all coming to learn a little bit more. Hopefully it gave you a little taste of what it could be like. The opportunities are kind of endless, and it's just about like making the most of whatever it is. Just kind of like if you've watched any of our Tuesday Talks before, the extracurriculars, it's not about the what, it is how and why and what you got out of it. So if your friends are saying like, oh, I went to this amazing, like really selective, uber special summer program, you don't have to do that. You can do a neighborhood thing, but it's about what you make of it and how you kind of grow from it and how you're able to display that. So, in the meantime, enjoy your holiday, winter break, whatever you have coming up. And for those counselors that are on the call and parents on the call who have seniors, I know that you guys are like sitting at the edge of your seat waiting for some early results. And so we just want to say congratulations and jayo and good luck and everything. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Have a great day. Stay tuned for the next Tuesday Talk.